Okay, so we have finished our Royale installation, and we have already installed the compression fitting for the wastewater for the Nano system, and we talked about the installation of that in the Royale installation. So hopefully you understand that. Let me talk about some of the things that you have here. This is our Nano 6-stage filtration. It's a pre-filtration. This particular one is non-electric. It has the permeate pump. You may have received one that has an electric pump that will need to be plugged in, so keep that in mind. And you have a bag here that has an installation manual. It has a wrench. You're going to want to keep your wrench for changing your filters. And it has some other things in here that we're probably not going to use today because we've already used similar parts in our Royale installation. And because our Royale is installed, this is going to be much simpler. Do follow along with me though. This box contains your membranes, and they are not installed. You're going to need to install them. It's not going to be difficult. I'm going to walk you through all of that, but you do want to remember to do that. When I was having some construction work on my house, my handyman, who's a brilliant man, and I absolutely love him, I didn't find out for several weeks that he didn't put these in, so we don't want to do that with you. We've got some tubing here that we're going to cut open, and this is your Nano tank. And again, if you're worried about not having enough space underneath, we did shoot a separate video that shows the amount of space that takes up underneath your sink. I believe we had about a 23-inch depth, and we had a 26-inch width, and we were able to get the Royale and the tank and the Nano and have some extra space. And that also had a garbage disposal on it. You can see that this is just a demo test area that we shoot videos. It's a little bit easier for you to see in there. But even with the large garbage disposal, everything fit. So the first thing we're going to do is we have a couple of shutoff valve fittings. And this one screws onto the tank. Let me show you here. Right up here in the front, this one has a female thread, and it's going to screw in here. I want you to be aware that this tank this opens and it's cleanable. Most tanks do not have that benefit, and we're very proud that Chanson takes care of us that way. We're always looking to support the best resources for your health. We care very much about your health. So this is a shutoff valve, and it opens and closes. Anytime the valve crosses the line like this, it is off, and when it is straight with a line, it's open. So I'm just going to cut a section of tube. And we're going to cut this one a little bit long because this is going to be used to go up to the drain, because we do need to rinse these filters anytime we change the filters or when they're new. So rather than put that straight into the tank, I'm going to show you. There are quite a few different sections back here, and I probably shouldn't be starting with this one, but this is the last section, and it's a compression nut. We're going to unscrew that nut and put that onto from the top, pushing it through. I've got to pull it back down here. You don't want it quite so far up, and it gets tight in there. I overshot it a little bit, so we have to go back, but it will move, just maybe not happily sometimes. So we're going to push it down in there as far down as it will go, and then screw that on. We're going to do several different lines here, and then I'm going to show you how they all hook together. So this is the last filter that goes out of the machine before this tube will go to your ionizer. But we're going to make sure that we flush it all down in the sink, and I'll tell you how to do that. We're going to cut another piece of line. We have quite a bit of line here, and there's not an exact measurement, and you can tighten things up. Here on your pump is a quick connect fitting, and we're going to push into that. Your wastewater is going to go out of this line into the drain saddle over here, and we need a compression nut for that. I've got to find where my nut went to, and we have 2 more places to put some line. So we've got plenty of line here to work with. So I'm cutting 5 pieces, and I only need 2 more. So let's talk about how this all works together. On the very front of the Nano, on the right-hand side, well, I guess it's my left, forgive me, is another compression fitting, and we're going to stick our tubing into that. Sorry, it's not a quick connect fitting, it's a compression fitting. So we're putting through the top of the cap, sticking it out a little bit, pushing it as far in as that will go, and then screwing down the compression nut. And so we have the inlet water is here in the front. The wastewater going to the drain saddle is up here in this pump area. This top filter goes to our tank, and that's also a compression fitting. We're going to push that through the top of the cap into the fitting and then screw it down. So there we go. We've put our fittings on, and I'm going to show you how all this works together in just a moment. So I showed you that with the permeate pump, the line that goes to the waste, which is going to be this drain saddle, is here on the actual pump. However, it may be that you chose or received a Nano 1, which has a different type of pump and electrical system, and if you have that, your drain is not here on the pump, but it's here on the back of the ionizer. So I want you to see the difference, and that is the line that will go to the drain saddle. So don't worry, it's all going to work, but just wanted to show you so you had a visual reference. Okay, we are going to need to do a couple of more things before we are ready to hook everything up, and it just does seem like an octopus of lines now. Don't stress, you've got written instructions and we've got these visual instructions. So this is our outgoing line to the ionizer, and we like to put a shutoff valve on there. You may never need to use it, but just in case you do, doesn't matter exactly where on the line you put it. It can be here or here. I'm just going to cut where it's a little bit comfortable for me and trying to do that clean, straight cut, taking the quick connect fitting shutoff valve, pressing it into one side and into the other side. Now this line is going to go to our ionizer, but I'm going to show you more about that. Here at the back, we've talked about how this line is going to go to the tank. So we've got this top filter, and over here on, I think that's your left, is going to go to the tank. We'll put the tank over here to hook that up in a little while. The only complication that we have right now is that we set this Royale up as if it were being used exclusively by itself. In order to accommodate all these different hoses, we're going to take out this segment of line between the cold water hose and the pressure reducer. Simple to do, don't worry about it. We're going to press down on the collar, and when we press down on that, if I do it properly, this hose comes right out. Same thing on this, this part of it. We just press down, that little piece of hose is going to come out. So, I don't expect you to memorize this. I'm just going to keep telling you. This one is for the inlet. It doesn't need to be this long. If you get it too long, go ahead and trim it later. This inlet hose, we're going to take it back here to where this cold water line is and push that right in. I'm leaving everything a little bit long for the moment because I'm trying to demonstrate to you in the best way for you to be able to see everything. This hose that goes to the pump, or in the case of a Nano 1, there would be a line on the back of the ionizer, is going to go to the drain saddle. The way that we do that is we take the compression fitting. They were white before, but this is just a little black one. We put it through the top of the cap, and quite honestly, look here, I see that I made a little bit of a jagged cut. We don't want that, so I'm going to recut this. It's good for you to get to see that. And bring it down. We're going to press that in as deep as we can get that, and then screw this on. And after you get something tight, you do want to go about another quarter turn. And we're always going to check for leaks after we install something. You're going to check immediately after, and then I recommend that you check within 24 hours and then maybe again in about a week. So here we are. We're still in Octopus City. Okay. I'm going to turn this around so you can see what I'm talking about. I showed you before, but going into this top filter on this side, this one is going to go over here to our tank. This is a storage tank. There's a purpose for that, to give you pressure to run everything. It can work without it, but what happens is you may get too high of a pH. And because we're concerned about your health, we always take all the measures to protect your health. So we're just pushing this line right into that quick connect fitting, pull up on it, and we're secure. So we have a very simple thing to do here, but it's not quite as simple as it looks. I've left this long because, like we showed you on the C3 installation, you need to flush your filters down the drain. We're going to hold this up here, turn on your cold water line, and let water flow through this for 5 minutes. If you have a Nano with a plug, you're going to need to plug it in, and you're going to make sure that all of these shutoff valves are turned on so that water is flowing. You're going to drain it either into a bucket or to your sink. And we're going to close the tank. So the way you close that is you turn the knob so that it cuts across the line. That will keep it closed. We're going to have to remember to open that later, but we're going to flow through this for 5 minutes. We're going to let it soak for 10 minutes, and then for 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, we're going to flow water through it. Then we're ready to complete the install. There are 2 more steps to finish. Are you ready for our final steps? We are nearly done. This is not nearly as difficult as it looks. It's just a little harder for me to explain some of the time. So these bottom 2 tanks have water in them at this point. The tanks are empty because your filters are over here. Now, when you open these, you're going to have a little bit of a mess. So you'd like to have a bucket nearby. I have not run water through these because I've just been demonstrating. These just pop right out of here. And they have a little bit of extra hose on there. You're going to unscrew this one and this one. They say membrane on them. So, I'm sorry, we're going to unscrew the compression nut to the tube first. And then we'll have a bucket to dump water in. You're going to remember that because I'm not doing it because I don't actually have water in here. That's the compression fitting. We're just pulling this out, which takes a little bit of effort. Then we're unscrewing this cap. Now, I want to tell you that before you get to this part, you want to wash your hands. If you have gloves, you want to wear gloves. You want to be sanitary. I'm not going to open these. These membranes are very, very sanitary, and you want to keep them that way. So, can you see there's an end? It's a male end with 2 rubber pieces. That is the piece that after you've taken this plastic off with your very clean hands or your gloves, you're going to insert all the way in and then put the cap back on. And after we get the cap on, we snap that back in and we fit the compression fitting back inside of here. We push that down and then pull the top part down and screw that back on. We're going to do it with each of these, and you're going to want to remember about flushing your filters when you do your filter changes. You don't want to flush carbon dust into your ionizer. So we're going to pretend that I've placed both of these in here, and we're ready for the very final step, which I know you're anxious to see, which is just plugging this piece into the pressure reducer. And again, some of these tubes I've left long for demonstration purposes. If you decide you want to cut them, just press in on the collar here, pull it out, and you can trim it up. See how easily that comes out? Press in. If you pull there, it's not coming out. Fits right under your sink, and you are good to go. The way you turn off and on your ionizer, there's a little protective plastic covering. You're going to pull that off. By the way, we're going to have plugged everything in, your ionizer, and if your Nano needs electricity, that's going to be plugged in. We're going to have turned back on our water source, and our tank is going to need to be turned back on. You see that this line is cut. We're going to turn it. It's straight with the line. That means it's going to run. And then we're going to touch our push button digital smart faucet that looks like a beautiful cell phone up there. And you are ready to begin selecting wonderful, healthy Chanson alkaline, ionized, or acidic water. So thank you so much, and don't be afraid to take this on yourself. Take a little breather if you need to, but I know you can do it.